Hi there everybody, and welcome to another video. On today's video I have these Lexus this is an RX400h, and I need to change the radiator in this car because it's cracked right in there. It's hard to see from here, but there is a crack there and it's leaking a little bit of coolant from that crack. Whenever obviously the engine hits, the coolant travels through the radiator to cool down, and then you have a small leak there. And the car is not overheating as such because it's leaking small amount. But the reason I discovered that is because yesterday I changed the cam belt and the water pump in this car, and for that I had to drain the coolant. And when I drain the coolant, obviously you have to refill it once you've finished with the job. I couldn't make a video of that, but there are other videos out there that you can see. It's not a particularly difficult one to change. Anyway, when I was filling the coolant again, and I was just bleeding the system, I discovered that there was steam coming out of this crack here. A bit of steam, a bit of coolant. So that's how I discovered it. So now I'm going to have to remove it and change it. And I'm going to start by removing this plate here, or this cover first, and also this one. So all of these are held by little clips that are fairly easy to remove. You just, on these ones, you pull the center. It's like this one here. You pull the center up, and then you pull the little clip out. On these other ones, you push the center in, so like this one here, push that in, and then you can take this clip out. So try not to lose it. Same with that one. There will be a few of those around here. I'm pretty sure some will be broken, some will be missing, some will need to be replaced. The car is old. It's a 2007, and obviously those little plastic things wear out and break. Now we have a number of 10 mils because we're going to have to remove these as well, and we want to remove this here, 2 10 mils and 1 10 mil there. Take this out. Okay, so before I start removing this panel here, I'm just going to remove the cover, plastic cover, which is on the other side. Same type of pins. Just pull the center up and take the pin out. On some other models you may have the pins that you push the center in and remove that out. Okay, so with that out, I'm gonna remove all these 10 mils, not that one, all the 10 mils that are along here. I've already loosened them, so in my car all of them are really corroded, and I had to use a ratchet just to crack them open, but now I can use my electric, oops, okay, corrosion makes it stick. These 10 mils here, they actually hold this lock in place. So just something to notice, this 10 mil and this 10 mil are slightly different. They are 10 mils, but one has a Phillips head on it, and these came out of here. So when you fit it back, just make sure you don't fit that style there, because if you fit that one there, then that means that you're gonna fit that somewhere else. So there is 2 of these. And then there is another one just behind this little cover here. Now I'm also gonna remove these ones, which I already loosened. Now, I've done this job one time in the past, but it was a long time ago and I don't exactly remember all the steps. However, it has to be done, so I will obviously try my best to figure it out before I carry on with the video, so we don't waste time. Okay, so have to get this 10mm out as well. That is connected to this AC pipe. So we're gonna try to remove these. There is another 10mm actually, which I forgot, which I already loosened. I just didn't take it out. That one there. So what I was gonna say is these horns are wired here, so we're gonna have to disconnect the horns as well. I mean, we just have to disconnect the wiring. We don't need to remove them. So there is a little clip that you press on the side and you should be able to disconnect the horn. So that's the connection there, and that's the clip we're trying to push. But sometimes you push it with your finger and it's not enough to release it. So this little cover will be sitting, it's just plugged in as well on there and here. It just unplugs literally, but we mustn't forget to fit it back on. So depending on the year of your car, this cable may be going this way or that way, or if it's a left-hand drive, right-hand drive, all that kind of thing. So now I want to disconnect these as well. Again, another one of those, you have to press the clip and pull that out, and then we can get that to one side for now. But we're gonna have to remove all of this. Let's get rid of that. I am going to put this back on here, just so I remember how it came out. Because sometimes these little things like this, you can forget, and then it takes you a while to figure it out. That particular one might not be the hardest, but you know what I mean. So this one as well, this cable is connected somewhere down there, so we have to remove this panel and we have to take these clips out. So this cable is plugged down there. You'll clearly be able to see it, and you need to release this from this, obviously. And there's another one connected, just plugged in there as well. So there's two of these to disconnect, and then the plug, which is down there, which you'll be able to actually access it from underneath that cable, that connection. So if I just show you from here, we have to disconnect this. You have to press on the sides of this clip. You press on the sides and push it out, and the plug to disconnect is that one there, and you can get it from here. You can see my hand just there. Only I may need to I may need my two hands for that. So you can't really see much, but there is a clip on the side that we need to press to release that. So this clip here needs to be pressed in, and then that can come out. So that clip there, a bit of a pain in the neck, but all these clips are. And then we have to disconnect. We'll just pull that bit out as well. Okay, so once you've disconnected your cable, this cable is attached to all the rest of the cables here, and therefore we need to disconnect them pretty much everywhere. So let me just get my light up there. So we have to unplug it from here. Again, all these connections are the same type of, like this, which you have to press on the sides. But it's a bit difficult to press these ones, so you kind of pull one side out a little bit and try to push the pin. It's a bit difficult, so sometimes you're gonna take it out. It might break, or anything can happen because they are old. And then we also have to disconnect the fans. So there is one connection here for one of the fans, for example, and you need to press on the clip. Okay, so you press on that clip there and pull this out. So you have to press that. It's hard to press it, but with a screwdriver you can, and that will go down, and that can become disconnected. And then we have another one of those connections that the cable retained or plugged into here, so I need to disconnect that as well. And there will be another one down here. So this hose is is in here. You just have to pull it out. And also I've disconnected this one. And there is another radiator plug just down here, which we also want to disconnect. It's somewhere here. So I've already pressed it and disconnected there. And there will also be another one of those there. So all these things we have to do in order to get all these cables out. So obviously I need to take this one out here as well. They are a bit of a pain. Okay, so I do use sometimes one of these long prying things, so I just get it in there and pry that out. As you can see, those little things there come out, but it might be the only way to take them out. They are just a bit difficult to get them. You can't really get them from behind. So anyway, we are getting there. It's just all this wiring. We need to get it out of the way so we can get our radiator out. And I think there is one more connection down there which may need to be tackled from underneath. I'm not sure if it's connected to the radiator or not, but we'll soon find out. At least that is out of the way for now. And the next thing I was going to remove is, I've already loosened these 10mm bolts here and this one here. So it's two of them. Again, a lot of corrosion. But that is sort of, these 10 mils are attaching this radiator, these fans to the radiator. And there probably be some below, so just take that out, see the corrosion on that. I've also released these 13mm, I think there's a 13mm. I'm gonna check in a minute. No, that was a 12mm bolt there. 12mm bolt there, 8mm bolt here. Another 8mm bolt here. And another 12mm here. So basically we can separate. Better take this out as well. So we're gonna want to separate this. I'll take this little cover out because this is going to separate our AC condenser from the radiator. So just take that out. So this here is the radiator, this is the AC condenser, and I think this is the oil cooler for the transmission or something like that. Right, so we also need to empty this the coolant. Obviously we need to empty the coolant, although my coolant is pretty much empty because I had no coolant from doing the cam belt, but I did add some in here, so whatever I added in there is probably will come out if we drain it from underneath. Also I'm going to remove this hose here, so all we have to do in that case is press this clamp, take it out and remove that hose. So anyway, we'll look at draining the oil from underneath and see whatever is there. There should be maybe another couple of screws holding this at the bottom, and then we might be able to remove these radiator fans out. I think we may need to disconnect this hose before we do that as well, because that hose, it's connected okay, that's loose. Okay, because this little hose here is connected to, I think, this expansion tank, and it's attached to this, so when you pull it out you don't want it to get stuck there. Right, so just before I move down underneath, I'm going to attempt getting this clamp off this hose, just using this pair of pliers here. All we need to do is just get it back there, away from there. Don't forget that everything I'm doing at the moment, it's with the engine cold. So coolant is cold, everything is cold, obviously. That's when you want to do it. You want to do it when the engine is hot. So we're just going to release this hose, which has been there for years, and perhaps it's going to be a little bit stuck. So obviously you can do this with your two hands, but you can see what I'm doing, just trying to release it a bit and push it back, and that is the plan. So once you've sort of opened it a little bit, you can start pulling it with your hand from here, and that will be easy. Okay, got it back a little bit, but you can see that by doing that, that hose will come out. One less hose to worry about. Right, let's get this car up. Looking at the car from underneath, we have this plate we want to remove, and you have a lot of 10mm, well, you have a number of 10mm bolts that you want to undo. I've already sort of undone, loosened them. I've already removed the ones on that side. And also you have these two pins, so it's one here and one on the other side, and then we can take this little cover out. That thing that came out is the cover of my expansion tank, which fell down, and obviously, as it does, it falls down to the hardest place you can ever get it. Okay, let's get that plate out. I'm gonna pick up my little cover. And from here we have some sort of access to the radiator. So I'm gonna have a look as to whether there's something else we need to remove here. Maybe this as well, but I'm not sure. Okay, I've been trying to study this area a little bit and see how that radiator comes out. Now, there is a problem with this removing of this radiator. Well, there is a slight problem because there's two bolts that are literally sitting. You can, there's a hole here where you can see the bolts that you need to remove. However, this is the hole here actually. You go in there and you can feel with your finger the 12mm bolt. So it's the same bolt that was at the top. This this bolt here, you need to release that 12 mil, because it's the bracket in which the radiator is bolted onto, but it's at an angle and you can't really get to it. And the same on the other side. That is a bit of a problem. So it looks like we need to lift the radiator together with all the units, AC, condenser and everything, up a little bit, and then we'll be able to access those two bolts, because otherwise you have to remove the whole just a nightmare. You wouldn't really get to those bolts. You'll have to remove everything, this here, but that is part of the chassis. So anyway, in order to get to those bolts, we'll have to lift this up a bit, and then we can get to the two bolts on the sides. So before we get to that, what I've done so far here, I've unplugged this hose. So this hose is plugged in there and in here and here. So I just unplugged it so it's free. This hose is also plugged into the radiator, and hopefully we can unplug it from the radiator once we release the fans. Now the fans, there are two 10 mil bolts. One that's just, you can just about see there, which I've already sort of released, but it's a bit corroded and whatnot. And there's another one just sitting here as well, which again I have released, but the weight of the radiator. Okay, there we are. So there's those two 10 mil bolts, and then we have this hose. This hose again has that clamp. You need to press that clamp and bring it back. It is a bit difficult because there's not much room here, but it is doable. Just take your time and it will come back. Now I sprayed this area with WD-40 because it tends to make the hose, the clamp, slide easier back or forth. So when we fit this back, I'll spray with WD-40 again and fit the clamp back. But it is a bit of a fiddle, and obviously me filming that is just a waste of time. It's just a clamp. You press it and you bring it back, but you may need help with another prying tool to push it back and whatnot, because it's a bit, as I said, it's a bit difficult. And then we are gonna disconnect this hose and coolant will come out of there. And I think it's easier to drain the coolant off of the radiator from here than having to do it from there is a drain plug just sitting there. You can see that sort of yellowish looking thing. Technically you turn it and coolant comes out, but it takes a while and it runs down through there. So we can just drain it from there and leave it like that. In fact, I have disconnected this hose a bit, and yeah, make sure you have something to collect the coolant. Try not to have a shower in the process, but I didn't have much coolant, as mentioned, because of my changing of the belt. So what I'm going to do now is, now that I've released these two, I'm gonna try to remove the fans from the top and remove the hose that's connected to the radiator here, and see if we can lift this whole thing up a little bit in order to release the two bolts. Okay, got the car down. Now this cable here, the cable that will remove all these, had that little extra cable going down. So this one here goes down and it plugs onto the side of the fans. Again, another one of those that you have to pull out, same type of plug like this. So I've got my long prying tool, not this is the little one, got the long one and got it out. So it is a bit of a pain. Again, take your time, don't lose your marbles, and get it out by force of whatever means you wish to use, because this space here is so tight that you will require a lot of patience. I'm not sure this job is exactly suitable for a beginner as such, but if you have a little bit of knowledge, maybe you can tackle it. It's not difficult, but it is very fiddly, and perhaps having the right tools for certain things will be essential. So as in disconnecting those clips, the ones up here easy, but as you go down, then you need the longer tools, and you know, this kind of things, more specialized, and these kind of pliers for the hoses and whatnot. But still, it's not very specific tools. You can still manage it. You just do need a lot of patience. So now I'm gonna try and wiggle this out of here. Okay, I'm gonna try to take those fans out, and hopefully they're not gonna get too stuck, or hopefully there's nothing else holding them in place. Okay, that came out. It is a bit heavy, so you do need your two hands to get it out. So from here I can see the hose down there, and I'm just seeing if we can lift this whole thing up a bit, but we need to be careful with these hoses, because otherwise if we bend these things a little bit too much, we can get a leak from the aircon system. So the hose, or the pipe here and whatnot. So I'm sure there is a bit of flexibility for us to maybe lift the whole thing up a little bit, because we need access to those two bolts underneath in order to release this radiator, because as you can see, the whole thing is together. Right, so as you remember, there was a 12mm bolt here, an 8mm here, and a 10mm here holding the fans. So the 12mm here, there's another 12mm underneath, the one we need to remove. So I've managed to lift this up a little bit and sort of move it, sort of like, if it's like this, up, and a little bit like this. And I just got some wood here to hold it a little bit, still moving a bit, but I can now get my 12mm spanner. You may be able to see my spanner just there, so I didn't want to get too ahead of myself, but I haven't done anything specifically, just lifted this up, and I'm trying to release that 12mm bolt that is sitting under here, that we're gonna have to do in order to release this radiator. Now this hose that I thought was connected to the radiator is not, so we don't need to worry about a hose. You just have to unplug it from the radiator so you can remove that. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this 12mm. Obviously it's gonna take me a while. I need to sort of guess where it is, and it's corroded and it's a pain in the neck. And there will be the same 12mm on this end, sitting, all the way on that end. Have to feel it with your finger and undo it. It might be tight because it depends where you live, but and how many miles your car has done. This has got 100,000 miles. We're in the UK. It's collected a lot of corrosion, and it seems like this RX suffers with corrosion because there's so many corrosion in it, and this is not the first model I've seen that has corrosion everywhere. So anyway, be aware. So same 12mm here, 12mm down there, and hopefully that is going to release our radiator, and we don't really need to remove the whole little clamp that goes in here. I don't think we have to. like this clamp is what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'll go ahead and remove those two, and then hopefully this radiator is free to go. I finally released those two 12mm bolts. The one on the right hand side was so corroded that it's taking me forever to take it out. So now I'm going to attempt to take this radiator out. I can feel it's already a bit free, so okay, so we have one radiator with a big crack there and a bit of a fiddle to take it out, because it's the two hoses that go past the radiator on the side really interfere. When you try to get it up here, it gets stuck here. So what I've done is I pushed the hose that was coming out of this way, I pushed it down. It's quite flexible. Once I pushed it down and out of the way, the whole thing became a lot freer. So now I'm waiting for a new radiator to come tomorrow, and then the whole game will begin again. This time the reversal of removal, so obviously just being careful not to damage your new radiator. So here's the new radiator. Just a couple of things to check. Just make sure obviously everything matches with your old one, but you may need this make. Actually is a Nissan comes that's the make of this radiator, which does engine cooling and climate parts. I often get parts from this supplier. They supply condensers and things for AC and whatnot. So what you might need is the radiator cap from the old radiator. So before you obviously throw away your radiator, you may need to remove a couple of things, and also you may need this oh, actually there is a screw there, so that's okay. We got some new brackets here, I suppose, or they go in here where you screw the bolts, the corroded bolts that we removed yesterday, and I think that's pretty much it. Now I'm just gonna take it out from here, start the refitting process, and the refitting process is pretty much going to be the reversal of removal. Hopefully a little bit easier, because now we don't have to remove any corroded bolts. Now we have to fit them in. So I prepared all my bolts, by the way. I just cleaned them a bit and I put a little bit of copper grease on them to help them survive a bit longer. Time to start the refitting process, so I'm just gonna get on with it and not talk too much unless there is something specific. So if you have any questions, obviously, then just fire away, but I'm gonna sort of, like I said, just get on with it, and probably when I edit the video it's gonna be kind of fast forward, so it just goes quickly. not gonna lie, it took me a long time to get those 2 bolts in because they wouldn't match this hole here on this the supplied sort of nuts. So what I did is I removed the nuts from the old radiator and I fitted 2 of them on the bottom. I can use the new ones maybe at the top, a bit easier to see, but I used the old ones at the bottom. So I'll get the car up, fit the 2 bolts that hold the fans in place. It's a bit difficult to film down there, and fit the radiator hose with a clamp. That clamp is a bit of a pain in the neck. You do need to clamp it in properly, because if it's not open properly, it doesn't slide over the radiator plastic hose. So you do need to press it quite well. In fact, there is a little bit on that clamp that is supposed to go into the hole that's on the other side. So anyway, it's one of those that is a pain in the neck, and I could be filming for hours because I spend it takes time to do those things. This clamp is exactly the same as the one at the bottom, but it's a little bit easier obviously to do it here. And then I'm just gonna fit all the covers underneath, and we can come back up here and finish fitting everything else. Now it's time to add some coolant, and I'm going to open, there is a little valve here, like a bleeder. I'm not an expert on this one. Like I said, I've only done one before, and so I would suggest you have a look at a few videos regarding changing the coolant or whatnot in this particular model, so you haven't got any issues. But I'm gonna start by adding coolant to the radiator and trying to fill that up and I've opened this little bleeder here so we can see if there's any coolant coming out here as well. That sort of let us know that the radiator is full, and then we'll have to start running the car as well. I got some ready mixed coolant here, sort of pink type. This is a G12 plus. Okay, I've run out of that, so I'm gonna have to go and mix some more and keep adding. I saw a little bit coming up here. Right, as I was adding a little bit more in here, some started coming out of there. That means our radiator is full. This hose might be a little bit full. I just dropped a little thing from there. Great. I may have the one from the old one, but I would like to find that one. Shit happens. Anyway, so this hose will be fairly full, but we need to run the system until the car gets hot, until we get hot air inside of the car and the thermostat opens and the whole system obviously starts circulating, which means we might need more coolant as we go along. Obviously, I put about 5 liters because I put one of those plus an extra liter or 2. So the whole system may take 6 or 7 liters anyway, or 8 liters. Some cars take that much. So as the car runs and warms up, we may need to top up the coolant because the water pump will technically be circulating the water. I put the little cup here now, this little bleeder. So now there's no coolant coming out of here. That means the pump probably sucked some of it. Got it. So I'm just gonna close this for now. That is full, so we'll see how we get on. And obviously I had to jump start because my battery was dead anyway. Hopefully we're gonna start getting some. Okay, yeah, the air here is already hot, so that's really good news. That was very fast. So the last thing would be to obviously to check, make sure your expansion tank here has got enough coolant as well. But it'll be worth probably leaving the car overnight after running it now. Well, wait until the system comes on, the fan comes on, make sure car is not overheating. Obviously keep monitoring your gauge, make sure you have hot air coming in the car, and make sure this coolant there is full. But I'm gonna close it in a minute, obviously, because once the system gets really hot, that is gonna get hot and it's gonna start coming out, and we don't want that. This here, it's probably doing something. Okay, we'll just quickly open that, see if there's any coolant coming out of there. There's nothing there, so maybe it's been sucked again. So again, this has been sucked. We can top it up. some bubbles coming out of there and some fluid. And so that went down. The air is hot. Temperature gauge is going up slowly. And that's pretty much it really. It's just a matter of monitoring now. If you have hot air in here, then that's really good news, because you know that the coolant it's going through the matrix as well. So so you know that it's running through the engine basically. So yeah, just keep monitoring your temperature. By the time the fan comes on, obviously that gauge should be halfway and maybe a little bit up, but it's not going to be, if you see it going beyond half and up to the red, that means you have an issue and it's overheating, and maybe something else is not working in your car. But but it could be something like a thermostat is not opening or the fan is not working. However, in a Lexus like this, all of those things will most likely be working, but you never know. So that's why you monitor everything while you are bleeding your system. So as I was saying, make sure you have enough in the reservoir there. You can shine a light and see how much is in there. There is a maximum line just down here, a max and a min. You can see them on the side actually, just there. I think it says full. And also this. Now I'm going to close it. See some bubbles coming in there. And you can also see that there is fluid in these holes. So that's pretty much it really. It's just it takes a little while to get this going, but that's what you're waiting for basically. You're waiting for the thermostat to open, the fan to come on, and then check your coolant levels again. But obviously, once the car is really hot, don't open this anymore, because that would be dangerous. You could wait until tomorrow and then check all the levels again and top it up accordingly, check these and whatnot. But we have hot air, and also another thing you could check is that you haven't got any leaks coming out of there's only two hoses connected to this radiator, so it can only leak from here or leak from the one down. So that's it. So having said that, I'm gonna mess around with this for another half an hour most likely. I hope the video helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, go ahead and fire. If I know the answer, I'll let you know. If I don't know the answer, I'll also let you know. So thank you for watching.